Hi.
Hey, Fraga. Are we good? Are we going live yet? Or is it still kind of getting set up?
We are live
Well
on
done.
X, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Well done. Well done. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our 2023 annual review event with our Tana ambassadors, as well as our final AMA with the team for the year. Thanks for all the enthusiasm. A lot of registrations. Can see the comments coming in the chat now. And Fraga, what are we doing here?
Yeah, why are we here? So we've seen that annual reviews has been a very popular way to use Tana in the community. Some really cool workflows. And we thought this was a perfect opportunity to let our great Tana ambassadors share how they do their setups, maybe inspire the community and new users for how they can do annual reviews in the future using Tana. Maybe even so they can share some templates and you can copy their workflows directly. And also combine this with a AMA with the team, kind of do our own annual review of Tana. It's been a big year, 2023 for Tana, right?
Yep. Thank you very much for all the questions that got sent in for the AMA, mobile and offline. Yes, we will certainly cover them as well as all the others. But let's first start with just introducing who's going to talk, as well as the team as well. So firstly, let's
Let me
start
just
with...
jump in before you and say we are live, as I said, on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. That means that all the comments, hopefully, from all those platforms are going to aggregate in here so we can see them. But if not, we'll be jumping around between the platforms to get all the comments and look at them. So if you do have any questions for the team, add them, and we will try to get to all the questions. So, will we get to all of them, Matt?
Don't think so. I'm going to have to be quite hard on the time. We've got quite a large amount of questions to get through in a short amount of time, but we'll try and do as best as we can. All right, let's go. Let's get the ambassadors ready to go. So we've got three great ones in here today. We've got Andrea from Tana Nodes. We've got RJ Nestor. Hey, Andrea. And we've also got Fis Fraga, who's going to present as well. So how we'll do this, hey, Fis as well. Hey, RJ. And we've also got the team. So we've got our management team to talk through some of the key ideas that you've asked about. So we've got our CEO, Tajay. Hey, Tajay. Olav coming in as well, our COO, and our CPO, Ingrid, who's going to talk through some of those questions as well. Let's get straight into it with the first presentation. So I'm going to hand it over to Andrea to talk through his ideas for annual reviews.
Hello, thanks Matt for intro, and happy to show how Tana has revolutionized my approach to the annual review process. If you can share the screen, thank you, Brage. Over the past year, Tana has been my ally in turning reflections into clear, actionable insights. I've always wanted a tool that would allow to connect the dots easily, and the calendar nodes in Tana are way more than that. Very simple search nodes and grouping are all I needed to create this beautiful view of my reflections. In Tana, I'm also chronicling my journey into teaching, into learning. And my focus in this year was in learning how to master AI, and Tana's intuitive graph interface became the cornerstone for linking disparate ideas and elevating my overall understanding on the field by tracking webinars and courses and workshops I have participated in. Reflecting on my goals, it's also an important task of my Tana journey. And over this year, the annual audit of these ambitions have been invaluable, steering me towards future milestones and illuminating paths for enhancements in both my professional and personal spheres. This introspection has fostered not just success, but also profound and personal evolution. And this is all thanks to the amazing Tana graph that allows me to connect my ideas effortlessly. Tana has also been instrumental in documenting life's precious moments, not just work milestones. But with the capture, with the Tana Capture lock screen widget, I've been really enjoying capturing fleeting experience, and has been super remarkable. It's been the highlight of the year for me. But also culture, it's what Norterish being a Tana impeccable custodian of my cultural endeavors. It's amazing. And whether it's books or movies or music, the Tana Input API has allowed me to keep track of everything I've been going through this year, and it's been a joy to use. Reflecting on this year with Tana, I realized that it's just not about a list of tasks complete. It's about the journey and what I've learned along the way as well. And I hope that sharing my journey encourages you into use Tana for your own reflective practice, and one that adds meaningful insight to your daily life. Thank you.
Very cool to see, Andrea, and some nice tags throughout the year. So you were accumulating those ideas through the year, and then could just bring them up quickly at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. And obviously using Tana Capture a lot just for photos or other stuff.
Yeah, no, for everything. But the highlight for me was totally the capturing photos and being able to, with a simple command, to treat them and put them in a database effortlessly has been amazing. I've always wanted to, really collect moments, but they've always been scattered here and there. And now with Tana, I have a center core where I can collect not only my work, my goals and my reflections, but also the very important moments that I have.
Fantastic. And also, when you're talking about the tags, are you doing them in real time, or are you batching them once a month? Like in terms of your actual
real time. I have 3 integrations with the Tana Input API. That when I mark a track as a loved track on Spotify, for instance, it comes directly into my graph. Same goes for my books in Letterboxd. So it's all automated.
Awesome. One question in the chat: what type of queries did you build to integrate your yearly view? I'm sure it's going to be a complicated process.
Sorry?
Yeah. What queries are you using queries to build this process out for your yearly view?
It's like very, very simple, like super simple. So if a node has a date, you can now use parent and grandparent with your calendar nodes, and it's been a joy to use. I'm not going to show you the monthly reviews now, but I'm also doing monthly and weekly reviews now, and now it's effortlessly with the Tana nodes, with the calendar nodes.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Andrea, for coming in. Up next, we have Fis. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Tana team, for putting this presentation together. Well, I will be talking about my annual review process here in Tana, and I have separated 2 major concepts that I will be talking about. So the first one is the idea of cycles of planning and reviewing, and the second is the most important mindset that you can apply when reviewing your 2023 to go strong into 2024. So I want to start talking about a very big problem that we are all facing, and that is society has become disconnected from reflection, right? And this may not seem like that big of a big deal, but it actually is. So Steve Jobs famously said that you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. And what this means is if we are too busy just being busy and living our lives without stopping to reflect, we are passing on a huge opportunity to improve and to grow as people and as a society. And the solution for this is quite simple, actually. It's more reviews. These reviews are this beautiful moment where you can deeply reflect on your life and on your progress and acknowledge how are you different from the past. But there's this challenge, right? How can we integrate this process of reviewing our lives in a reliable way, in a way that we will consistently keep up with? And this, my friends, this is where Tana comes in. And this is where the cycles of planning and reviewing come in. Because as we all know, life happens in cycles of time, right? We have the years, the months, the weeks. And Tana captures this very well. We have the calendar where we see these different states, these different cycles of time. And for every cycle that we begin, we have two options. We can passively, mindlessly let time pass by, just living without intention, or we can stop and be intentional of how we're going to live each of these cycles, like each year, each month, each week. And what I mean by that is that we can start those cycles with a vision, right? Where do you want to get? Who do you want to become? And from that vision, you can create a plan, right? You can set goals. You can create projects to pursue that vision. And once you do that, you're much better prepared to execute. You will execute with more quality, and you probably achieve more progress. And the cherry on top, it's what brings everything together, is this concept of reviewing. When you stop and you look back at those cycles and acknowledge how are you different and understand your progress and learn from your experiences. And what this may look like in Tana is the following. For each of those cycles of time, Tana has the date nodes, right? Example here is the month. So inside the month, you can create a plan for that month. And in that plan, you can, of course, plan the month, but most importantly here, you can have a place to review your process and to look back and improve, right? And the end result might look something like this. At the end of the year, you can look back at everything that you've did in 2023, and you can see all of the quarters, all of the months, all of the weeks. And for each of those, you see your plan, you see your review, and you have the chance to look back and reflect. And now this takes us into the next and final step of this presentation, which is how to review these cycles, right? How to make the most out of it. And the concept that I want to bring to you is the following. In one line, what I want you to do is to measure the gain and not the gap. So an example of this would be to list all of your wins for the year of 2023. And this concept comes from this very interesting book called The Gap and the Gain. It's by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And what it means is the following, right? You are here in this current state in time. And from here, you have two possibilities in order to review and to compare yourself. You can be in the gap and you can be in the gain. So the gap is when you compare to an ideal state, when you compare to your goals or compare yourself to other people. And what this usually leads to is comparing to something that you don't have, right? So you will automatically be in a state of lack where you haven't reached your goal yet. So you feel frustrated, right? You feel anxious, you feel like a failure because you haven't achieved that yet. So you're comparing to an ideal scenario. And in the other spectrum, you can be in the gain, right? You can look back at where you were at the beginning of 2023, and you can understand how are you different from who you were at the beginning of the year. What were your most important victories? Like, what have you achieved? Who do you have access to that you didn't have before? And when you come from this place of looking back, you're doing exactly what Steve Jobs said. You are measuring by looking at the past, by looking backwards and acknowledging your progress. This puts you into a state of much more confidence, more happiness, more motivation, which will lead you to have more courage and to feel better about your next cycle, in this case, 2024. So what this will eventually look like is that at the end of every cycle, you will review your progress. You will measure your wins, be in the game, and this will train you to identify those positive events and positive outcomes in your life. And with this, I want to close this presentation with a reflection prompt for all of you here today. And it's quite simple, but it's very powerful. And it is to list all of the wins that you had in 2023. And I really challenge you to take the time and go through this, right? Actually stop and think, because you will be impressed. I assure you. You will look at the progress you've made, and you will be in a state of awe with all that you did, and all of that is possible for 2024. So after doing that, identify the 5 most important wins. And of course, I highly suggest you create a hashtag win, a super tag, to keep track of all of your wins, and maybe even create a top most important wins super tag, because this will give you much more confidence, much more motivation to get into 2024 very strong. Now, thank you for this time. Thank you for being with me. If you want to find more about my work, you can find me at Fis Fraga, fisfraga.com, or on X. And there you can also find more about my templates and other works that I have going on. So thank you.
Awesome, Fis. Very cool. Love the Steve Jobs quote, and also probably prone to that myself, not reliably acknowledging the wins throughout the year, always focused on what's next or what's to improve. So a great reminder as part of the process of reviews.
Awesome.
Great. Let's go over to RJ, who is our final one today. RJ, over to you.
Thank you so much, Matt. It's wonderful to follow Fis. It's somebody that I have had the wonderful opportunity to collaborate with many times, so I don't think there'll be any surprise that our philosophy at the high level lines up very, very well. So I get to share sort of what appears to be an implementation in many ways of the sort of things that you were talking about there, Fis. Good to be here with you. I'm proud to be a Tana ambassador. My name is RJ Nestor. I'm a productivity consultant. I've made a couple of tools that folks can use to build their systems in Tana effectively. And I'm just really delighted to get an opportunity here to share what I've been working on with my annual review. So to just sort of give you a background of what makes this review function. First of all, I think of my top level as roles. And so when I do this, because I find that, for me at least, goal setting can be sort of arbitrary and sometimes hyper specific, to the point that when I get, 3 months toward a goal that I had planned to do for a year, I realize that so much has changed that goal is no longer relevant. What doesn't change very often are the roles that I play in my life and work, being an engaged father, husband, brother, being there are also aspirational qualities to this, being a productivity thought leader and consultant, being the music director or at the church where I work, and that sort of thing. So when I frame things around roles, it makes it easier for me to understand what is the action, what are the projects, what are the tasks within those projects that can align toward these roles. And the roles, as you'll see in a moment, are what the annual review that I'm working on here is centered around. Another thing that makes the review possible: 3 recurring tasks. This aligns really well with what Fis was talking about there with cycles. So every day I plan my agenda. At the end of the day, I have a log of my work. Every week, and this is the complete weekly accomplishments, I should probably use the tag win. That's a lot shorter than accomplishment, and yet accomplishment is what I have. But weekly accomplishments, I review the log. And the things that look to me to be important accomplishments, I tag accomplishments. Those get gathered, and I'll show that in a second, into my weekly accomplishment workflow. And then every 8 weeks, second recurring task here, I review the things that I had marked accomplishment, and the ones of those that stick out to me, I tag achievement. And what that allows me to do is that by the time I get to the third recurring task, the complete my annual review, I now have narrowed down those things to something that is manageable. I don't want to look at 700 things or so that I've marked as done throughout the year. I don't even really want to look at the 100 or so that I have looked at weekly accomplishments, but I can narrow that down to something that I can see what are the big wins that I have. That becomes useful and relevant for me. And the structure then underlying that, my weekly accomplishments, This starts over here on the right side as a query. And then when I have a little command button that I click, and then they're hoisted up to the level of the field. And so each of these accomplishments are things that I've checked off, for week 1 or week 2 or week 3. And you can see occasionally there's one, the start of cohort 7 I marked as an achievement. So achievement is mentioned there, and then that will be something that shows up in the annual review. So then what I can do at the annual level is look at my roles, and I can look at the projects that have been achieved in that role. I can look at the tasks that have been achieved in the role. And I'll talk in a minute about how that works functionally. And I can look at whatever active projects are still there. I review active projects on a different cycle, but it's still quite useful. In fact, I review them on their own individual project cycles. But it's helpful for me still to, since I'm reviewing the role level, to have a sense of what's there. And so I can look through and see, oh, with my productivity thought leader, I have all my weekend upgrades that I've done. I've done a couple presentations. I have the 3 cohorts. I can scroll down through and I can see all the various things that I have accomplished this year. I can then look at the task level and the achievements here that will pop forward from the ones, when they were scheduled. And I can see the things that I've marked achievement for the year. Launch Essential Tana Skills. That was a big one for me. And then I can see what's active still. Create a Tana for Business product. Things. You can see, Fis, I have not forgotten about the Collider Space magazine. That's still there. I've just been doing a lot of writing because this one's my book that I'm working on. So forgive me, I will come around. But the idea here is that I can keep my finger on the pulse of what I have done, what I've achieved, and what's currently active based on the roles in my life. I can look at my church musician. I can see what's archived. I can see where I've been there. I can see what I'm working on. I can see the same in the, my BNI director consultant things. What did I do? What did I achieve? Apparently I achieved nothing in terms of that this year in the BNI director consultant, at least nothing that I marked achievement. But you can keep track of where are these roles. And what that allows me to do as I review it, and this is big, I can just hop open quick add here, and I can add, if I have to add a new role, I will, but more likely if I add a new project, if I add task to project, as I recognize where gaps are, as I recognize, for instance, I didn't mark any achievements in the BNI Director Consultant. Is that something I need to think about? Are there more things that I need to address? Is there more action I need to take there? The review, you look back so that you can more effectively move forward. And that's why I have this here. So what I'd like you to take away from this, first of all, I think it's nice to align projects with roles. If you have a hard time setting goals because they maybe feel arbitrary, or you have the problem that you set them for a year out and by 3 months you're headed in a different direction, and the direction's good, it's productive for you, but it's not where the original goal was. Roles give you a bit more flexibility with that regard. They're still specific. They still give you direction and priority. And you can align your projects toward them then to convert that into action. And then I mentioned in Tana, what I have running that is the part of semantic function. The projects have a field that point to the role they're part of. The tasks have a field they point to the project they're part of. And by using that semantic function, I can then review task achievements from within roles without any further structure being necessary. So align your project with roles. Second, let your review data accumulate and narrow it down regularly and systematically. Weekly accomplishments are easy to see at the week level. I look at the log, I tag the accomplishments. And then it's easy to see what might be relevant at the annual level. Once a little bit of time has passed, 8 weeks, 2 months, whatever, I can look at those weekly accomplishments and say what's going to be valuable to review as part of an annual review. But if I try to do it all at once, I just accumulate everything and I want to look at the 1,000 things at the year level, I'm not going to do that. Who wants to look at 1,000 things? But I can do it in cycles there. And then last, rely on action and generate action. If I don't have a recurring task, I'm not going to do something. I'm not going to look at this review. I'm not going to do the review if I don't have a reminder to do it. The action points me to the thing I need to do. And then as you review, capture those new roles, those new projects, those new tasks for future action. Generate the action as well. Because as you look back, that's how you can move forward. So hopefully that's helpful. And that's all I have for you here today.
Awesome stuff, RJ. That's really cool. Just make sure everyone's, great stuff. Yeah, this is really inspiring. I do have a question for all of you, which is, do you have somewhere or some place users of Tana can download your templates and check out these workflows for themselves? RJ, do you want to?
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry, no, sorry. Yeah, I can. I'm unmuted, so I might as well. You can find me on, like Fis was mentioning Twitter there. I'm RJ Nestor just about everywhere. I'm RJ Nestor Coach on YouTube. But if you go to that rjn.st, my shortener there, rjn.st/Tana-tools. That's a place where you can see my essential Tana skills. That's a place you can see my Tana for Tasks core. And then I also have a free productivity community. You can find, I mean, if you look at me on there's a link on my Twitter that can lead you to there. I think it's rjn.st/links appropriately. And you can see some other things there that will, can show you some of the places. That's more productivity in general, but I have all of my Tana things there as well. So that's a good place to kind of connect.
Awesome. Fis?
Yeah, as I mentioned, you can find me as Fis Fraga on Twitter, on X, and fisfraga.com. That's my website. You should be able to find everything about me over there.
Great. Andrea?
Sorry. Yeah, you can find me on tananodes.com and Tana Nodes on Twitter, X, and basically everywhere.
Awesome stuff. So we had a couple more ambassadors who wanted to share some really cool workflows, but couldn't make it because of time zones, etc. So Lucas or Cortex Futura and Ev Chapman have also made content that you can have a look at, which we will share on Twitter and in the community later. So yeah, do follow us on X or Twitter and LinkedIn to make sure that you catch all that. Now, Matt, we're over to part 2 of this fun little live event.
Yep, fantastic. Thank you to all, and let's jump straight in. So we're going to start with some reflection questions and then move on to some of the questions submitted from the community. So Taya, I'll go over to you. Firstly, what are you most proud of during the year?
Thank you, Matt, and thank you to everyone who showed up. This is so great to do. Once again, we did another AMA earlier this year, and it was a lot of fun. And listening to you, Fis, I kind of feel like maybe I've gone about preparing to this in slightly the sort of looking at the gap way of things. But if we're looking at what we're most proud of during the year, I had to really reflect on that question before writing down. I think I still have to say that the thing that we're most proud of, both this year and last year, is the community. And people like the ambassadors that we've just heard, and everyone, and the excitement that is in Slack. It's amazing to us, and we're extremely appreciative of how you guys make up Tana, both the direction and the excitement, and it just makes us want to push harder every day. Secondly, of course, we're extremely proud of the employees, but this year we've added, I'm not even sure, when we started it was probably 12 people. Now we're 24. So now we're at the scale and the number that we need to be to really take Tana to the vision where we want to go. But earlier today, I had a demo from a user who showed how they've used Tana to study or write their master thesis. And the thing that I'm really proud of is when I see Tana in the wild, and after we released publish, it's been so much more easy to see Tana in the wild. And what people are creating is just, it looks fantastic and it's useful and it's apparently easy. It looks like everyone thinks it's as easy as I think. So I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of this year. And feel free to chime in, any of your other Tana employees here, if I'm missing something. But I think those 3 things: the employees, the community, and users using it for everything that we didn't even think about. And one of the things is, like, we see that people with ADHDs and other challenges are using Tana and finding value of it. That's also makes us really proud.
Awesome. Great to hear, Tajay. And we did ship a lot this year, and there was a lot that actually happened. And it might be time to cross to you, Olav, to just give a summary and your impressions of the year that was.
Whoa, now you can hear me, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So just add to what Tarjay is saying, like thank you to the community for your unwavering support, your feedback, and the ideas that you've provided has been instrumental in shaping Tana as a platform and what we see today. And we've done a lot of things. I was just thinking about it when Fis said, "What were all your wins of 2023?" And as like Tarjay said, like our biggest win is the community. And just like community is closing in on 16,000 people and seeing how the community help each other, it's amazing. And Tana will always be community built, and we will continue with that. And from everything from how we do the technology to product to our business, it's all built together with the community. And also thank you for your patience. We spent a lot of time really breaking up the challenges that the hyperactive hive mind has created to see how we can build the bicycle for your mind and give you what we say, like the mind like water, which is really important. Now I'm just gonna read what Matt is showing now, what we've done. So we started out with dockable scrollable panels in January. We did a ton of templates. We created a new in-app bug process. We had the ideas.tana.inc, which is amazing, where we want your ideas and your challenges. We have the new help centers. We have the calendar view, Tana commands, introduced the Tana input API. We did the Tana AI for builders, which is insane when we see the things people are building. We have our autofill. We have the Tana capture for iOS. Should have known, should have waited 4 weeks and just released Android at the same time. But we're not that big of a team. But yeah, we had the unified sidebar, new look and feel, centered content, new panels, the super tech homepage. We cleaned up the home node. We had the Readwise integration, which was really interesting. I don't think we wouldn't have done that if it wasn't because of the community and the community actually wanted that. We have our Tana ambassadors and our navigators. We're super proud of them. We launched the Tana published page, which is our version of just sharing your notes really quickly in a beautiful way. We launched the Tana for desktop side menu, toolbar, new and better images. We've done a lot. There's a lot of wins this year. So thank you for your patience, and thank you for everyone that's joined our mission to reinvent how humans, teams, and computer work together. It's been an amazing year. Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you, Olav. Yes, great to see it as a list like that. You realize how much has been done. Tarjay, I'm going to go back to you. Yeah, looking back at 2023, do you think we're tracking relative to where you thought we would be?
Yeah, so I wish I heard your speech earlier today, Fis, because then we could focus on the gain and not the gap. So I'm going to focus a little bit on the gap here, or sorry, the gain, because that's where our focus is. Not sure if everyone knows, but we're sprinting towards end of year, trying to land what we think is Tana version 1.0, which means like this is the feature set we always meant to launch with. And looking at the two things that we're not tracking where we would like to be is our backend. So we've always had a backend, of course, but the backend that we currently run with makes it harder for us to do things that are extremely valuable. So things like much better search. I'm talking about mostly search quality here, but search is more than just finding a node. It's also understanding where that node sits in relationship to its surrounding and neighborhood, and actually being able to do semantic search and other things. All of the AI things is quite possible to do today, but there's a lot of things that would make it much easier if we had the backend that we're currently building. And also the mobile. I know mobile is one of the things Ingrid will talk about later, but a backend for mobile is essential, and the same thing with the API, which I also understand is a question here. So we started with that in January, and we have, I would say that we have some of the best engineers in the world working on these things. But one of the things that we wanted to do with Tana from the beginning was to make sure that your data is secure and safe. So everything you do, every keystroke you type in Tana is a transaction, meaning it goes both locally in your client, but also to the server where we handle it and make sure that it's stored correctly, encrypted, and all of that sort of stuff. But it is very complex to orchestrate transactions when there's multiple collaborators. That's why I also see many of the other note-taking tools are not that strong on collaboration. So we've started in January. We have amazing people working on it. It's been much harder than we thought, but now we're running our internal data on the new backend. And as soon as we ship that, it sort of opens up for everything else that we can do in the future. It sort of will be more or less like a ketchup effect, if you can relate to that, where you shake the ketchup bottle and nothing comes out, and then suddenly everything comes. So it's that's going to be very exciting. The other thing that I think tracking wise, so all of the stuff that Olav mentioned, that has been tracking as we thought, but backend is blocking a few of these things that we talked about, like mobile. The other key thing for us is AI. So the community and the users today are what I would almost classify as builders. It's like you guys are all very capable, and some of you have developer backgrounds, and I see even people that are not developers seem to be doing more or less application development in Tana, which is fantastic. But we want to take AI from just you guys being able to use it to everyone being able to use it. So make it go from what we call technology to product. That is also something that I think is very much a catch-up effect, where now very, very soon we will be able to give you AI the way it was meant to be, and a lot more than just chatting with your data, but doing other things as well. So I think those two things are the biggest ones.
Excellent. Fantastic. And we'll get to AI. I've got a few specific questions on that later as well. Olav, before we get to some of these feature questions, we'll do a few more reflection ones. Olav, is there a feature or idea that you've been passionate about that you haven't been able to implement, or the team haven't implemented yet?
Yes, let's do a mic drop. We have a chat. We have an internal chat that hasn't been. We haven't talked about it. We haven't shown it to anyone. We haven't, and that's kind of one of the things that that's one of the things that I'm hoping we will see in 2024. It's been part of the prototype from day one. It's a way of doing chat it's a totally new way of doing it. And Grim has been thinking about this for 15 years, probably more. And the way he's implemented the first prototype inside of the prototype, it's brilliant. It's a new way of giving you the ability to have focus and have a chat, and killing that context switch as well, right? Slack is a good replacement for the water cooler, but it's not the best for productivity. So that's I put it out there to put some pressure on ourselves for the 2024. The team is probably like, no. That's my one, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic. And while you're here, what about feedback that you received? We get a lot of feedback from the community and elsewhere that was hard, but in the end, potentially positive.
Yeah, I think two things. I think we wanted to wait with the API for the new backend, but I'm glad the community was pushing us to actually get the Tana input API out, and because we've seen a lot of usage of that and a lot of incredible things being built just with the input API. That would never happen if it weren't for the community pushing. The next thing I think was something that I wouldn't have prioritized. That's not saying that the team would have done it, but like the Readwise integration, that's something that everything competes with everything, right? When you're a small team. So we did that because of the community, because we always listen to the community and we try to build what the community want. And I think that was the right thing to do when we see the usage on the back end. There's a lot of people using that. But yeah, I think those two are the things that would at least wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the community. And I wasn't ready for it, but it's been great. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Let's jump over to Ingrid now for some of the questions that we got from people and on specific features. So obviously this comes in a lot. Let's start with the main one on top. What is the status of mobile app?
Yeah, I know this is something a lot of people are waiting for, and we are definitely feeling your frustration and seeing all of the posts and feedback about it. Getting access to your data on mobile has and is a top priority for us. We have been working on it all of Q4, and the ambition is to get something out as soon as possible. But as Taya mentioned, there are still a few blockers, but we are testing the first kind of version internally. There are still a few kinks that we need to work out. So I think the main one being the technical challenges around loading your data, doing it in an efficient way, especially for big workspaces. It's a bit challenging today. So the work that we're doing on the new backend will unlock a lot of things there and make it easier to load the data that you need faster. And then we have some UX challenges as well because of all the powerful functionality and views that Tana has. We need to kind of do some adaptations to make those work well on mobile. But I do think some of those things will actually also benefit desktop and simplify things a little bit. So the path that we're working on now is extending the current Tana Capture app with the ability to view your data and search within your data, but also keeping the functionality we have today that enables really, really quick capture, because that's something that we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on, and it's a key part to making it easy to capture fleeting thoughts or voice or any of those things. So know that we're working on it. We're also impatient on it. We don't just want to give you access to your data, but we want to give you something more and do it the Tana way.
Awesome. Okay. I'll take that as definitive 1st of January. No. Okay. What about offline? Another one that we get a lot.
Yeah, it's a little bit in the same realm. It's also something that we are all feeling the frustration of, and it's something that we do want to improve before launch, for sure. So we know a lot of people need Tana to work on trains and planes and flaky Wi-Fi, and we are making plans so that we will be able to support that. This is also a little bit unblocked by the backend, so we'll be part of the ketchup coming out of the bottle. That it will be easier, and we're kind of building the infrastructure now to enable Tana to be a great product in the long run and be performance secure and scalable. So this is why part of being in alpha is a little bit frustrating, but we're building some of the foundations now so that when we launch, people will have a good experience.
Great. Next one, a more reflection one. Of the 2023 features released, are there any that the response surprised you or you believe deserve more attention from users?
Yeah, I had to check in with the team on this one because I only started fully in August. But one thing that came up was templates, actually, that was launched, is working, but hasn't kind of taken off as much as we'd hope. I think there are definitely some things that need more work there on exposing it and enabling it, and that is something we definitely have on our plans for next year to revisit. On the kind of flip side of that, maybe something that got a lot of attention was the published pages that we did this fall, and we see, so maybe it was a lot easier to try out and adopt, I think, and something that a lot of people already see very clear use cases for. And I think also in something that I was part of releasing was the super tag page. And I think that is probably the thing that we have released that has had the biggest impact in terms of making it simpler for new people to understand how it works and just click the tag and see everything that's tagged and so on. So that is also one of the things we've been exploring now. How can we build around that and invest more around the super tag UX to get new users into understanding how to use it and understanding how it works.
Great. How's the community influenced the development process and the product process at Tana?
Yeah, at a very fundamental level, I would say. And I think the entry point to answer this is what you just saw from the ambassadors. I think people use Tana in so many different ways, in different workflows, and all have their own flavor. So that is something that we just have to take into account, and we have adapted our product development process to it, kind of at an operational level. So we have the amazing ambassadors and navigators, and also a special group of test pilots who get early access to features and actually test them in their own Tana with real data. And that exposes a lot of things that we would never have been able to predict, and also gives us feedback on this isn't working well for me because it's messing up the way that I parse information, or things we have to take into account how people with different personalities and different ways of working and workflows will use things. So we spend a lot of time actually on iterating based on the feedback that we get in these in this prototype stage, and hopefully that enables us to kind of remove all of the things that aren't working well before we launch it to everyone. Then we kind of get so much feedback on everything we do and release. So we try to kind of work through most of the feedback and bugs immediately after a release, but it's also something we're constantly looking for ways to be better at, releasing something early and then iterating based on the feedback. So when it comes to the kind of longer lines, we are definitely revisiting all of the feedback from ID's Tana. Matt is also doing an amazing job of bringing in posts from the community and feedback aggregated up on what are the most important things, what are the biggest problems people have, and bringing those into our meetings and our stand-up and regular reviews when we are doing planning, and so on. So baseline, we kind of want to be a community-driven product, and even though we are not able to work through all of the feature requests immediately or right now, that doesn't mean that we are not revisiting them when we're making plans.
Fantastic. And just related to that, in what ways did the team pivot or adapt to strategies when faced with unexpected this year or challenges that weren't foreseen?
Yeah, it's been an interesting year, I think, in the startup tech world, for sure. So we made a change early in the fall in terms of the cadence that we use for planning. So we plan kind of on a quarterly basis, but now we even adopted a more granular way. So we have 2-week cycles or sprints, and then we have a week of planning in between them to allow for really kind of some reflection and planning and revisiting what are the most important things right now. And that allows us to kind of shift focus quite quickly if we see that we need to, or there are opportunities we should jump on. One thing that comes to mind, I think we made a quite big shift from Q3 to Q4 was AI. And we kind of shifted staffing over and resources over to be able to really do more dedicated work on bringing that in, like I talked about.
Great. And this was one from the community. Tana is getting powerful, but other times rough edges stay in place. Can you discuss the trade-offs? I think it came from Imri.
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I think Tana is kind of a unique product in how powerful it is, and that the powerful things have been built out almost before the simple things. So this spring, there was a lot of focus on exploring what people could do with Tana, and that gave a lot of learning on interesting and valuable use cases. But we also saw that it was a very high barrier for people to get into it, and to some extent it still is. So this fall, we have shifted focus and taken all that learning and have now been trying to adapt the experience to make it easier for new users to feel a sense of mastery when they come in, and really get started with something simple and then gradually learn the more advanced stuff. And I think part of that has also been that on working on polishing out some of the rough edges and removing sources of confusion. So one example is we have been doing a lot of work around how can we enable better discovery of features for people who are primarily using a mouse, and making mouse navigation, keyboard navigation work well for both types of users. So we've also done some things around making sure that we do more testing and performance work before we launch, to really have things a little bit more polished when they come out. So hopefully, I think not all of these things have shown the result yet in terms of being released, but we have a lot of really great stuff coming out.
Excellent. Thank you, Ingrid. Let's keep moving. I know we're probably going to run out of time, or we'll run over, but let's keep bombing on through it. Tajay, I'm going to go to you next with one from Nico Bayer. What are the team's thoughts on a public-facing roadmap?
Oh yeah, it's hard but valuable. I think that's the short TLDR. But so we'd like, especially with the ideas.tana, I think it's sort of, we look at it all the time, and we really want to prioritize. And many of the features we've done this year has been 100% guided there, and will continue to be. And I think you will see when we launch the next big release after end of year, you will see that we tick many of the boxes that are on the top there. But it's hard because we don't want to disappoint people, and I think that's the hardest part. Like I think we align very much with what everyone wants. It's just a matter of, like, there's so many things we can do. And again, back to the ketchup effect, we see that Tana could do absolutely everything, but like Ingrid mentioned, the rough edges is one of the things that we really need to focus on as well, especially as we expand the user base to more sort of picky users that are used to just things working and don't have to set up anything. So it is a hard challenge for us, but we definitely feel like community is number one for us, and building in public and having a publicly facing roadmap is something we would like to do. But for now, I think you can just look at ideas.tana.inc and say that is more or less the roadmap. It just it doesn't have any dates and times on it. But going over after we launch, we will shift a little bit focus on how can we have more predictability and what you can expect going forward, and at least partially a publicly facing roadmap will definitely be a part of that.
Great to hear. Awesome. All right, Olav, over to you, and we're going to talk or switch gears to business. And this one comes from Nico. What is our business or monetization plans?
Yes, so this will also be built together with our community, and we started out, I don't know if everyone's seen it, but 2 weeks ago, we asked the community what would be the right price for Tana for a personal plan, sort of. We've also said that we will have either some kind of freemium or free trial plan starting off. We will build this together with the community. The answers are showing us that there's a price point around $10. So and that's what we've been talking about this since we started. But that was like kind of, think of a number like round and sweet, but it's around that. And yeah, I think we're going to do a couple of more things together with the community to land it. We will not have these 5-year plans where we lock in the users, but we really want to give back to the first active users and the community. So what we're thinking of is actually doing some kind of grandfather pricing. It's called, where everyone gets a discounted subscription plan, which is in the community or that they are active right now. And that's also a good way of giving back to everyone that's contributed. And we looked into like having different pricing for where we are in the world, but that's super hard because that's not something that's out of the box with Stripe or ADN or whatever. So like this grandfather pricing would I think that would work for giving back to a lot of people that's helped us in a lot of ways. So and hopefully we will you'll be able to sign up for that within a couple of weeks, and maybe suddenly it's like, oh no, it's January, but let's see. I hope we'll launch the first subscription plan. Yeah, within a month. And I'm looking at Ingrid like, is she nodding? Oh no, she's not. Okay, yeah. But that's the thinking around the process, at least, like where we're gonna end up. Yeah. So yeah.
Great. Let's jump out a bit in terms of vision. What does Tana want to achieve? This one's coming from Reddy. Will we sell to a bigger company?
No. Oh, that I can answer that quick. No. Like, for us, this is a generational company. This is our moonshot. This is once in a lifetime we get to build this amazing product with this amazing community. I've actually moved to Palo Alto, so the people are not sitting really still. It's actually just a picture of the Oslo office. But I moved here to be closer to both the tech environment, to have like this the ear to the ground to what's happening here, be close to Stanford, close to Berkeley and the universities, and actually set us up for this 10, 20-year long journey that we're on. Like this is hard. I always bring with me Cal Newport's books when traveling, and killing the hyperactive hive mind that we're creating, giving people mind like water. That's something that we take really, really seriously. And we're in here for the long haul. We're not gonna jump ship and sell. Like we won't get this opportunity again, like us as a team and us as a community. So that no, we will not squander that, and we will not. No, never. I'm not gonna say not in a million years, but not in 20 years, like knock on wood. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. When will Tana launch or get rid of invites?
I can do that as well. Like as you've seen, like when we did the stealth launch, we took our foot a bit out in public. People said like, "Oh, your waitlist is a marketing gig." It's well, then we would have closed it a long time ago. Like we're using the waitlist still to onboard new users, to see how they react to our changes, to check our retention metrics, and yeah, I think hopefully we will be able to close it early 24. It depends on our metrics, and it depends on when we feel we're ready for the next phase of Tana. And but in an ideal world, we will never have a wait list. It will be just jump into the product. You're gonna be flying. You're gonna go to bed like with mind like water and share this with everyone you know. But we're still not there. Although Ingrid and the team are doing an amazing job on getting us there now. So yeah, but I think that's the best question. As soon as possible, we'll have it as long as we have to.
Can you give a 10 to 20 year vision of Tana?
Yeah. We will be the knowledge graph for all knowledge workers. So basically, we don't believe in that we will be able, or humanity will be able to kill the hyperactive hive mind while working in files and folders. That's one of the things that we believe in, is we need to move people to the knowledge graph, because that's the only thing that works like our brain. And to be honest, I see a lot of, or not a lot, I see some of the people in the space like saying like, no, note-taking is private. Note-taking, yes, note-taking has to be in the private sphere, but you have to be able to actually share stuff from your second brain with others if you want to, because your brain doesn't divide when you think about work and when you think about private stuff. We need to, if we want to recreate it, it's you need to be able to also have collaboration. And that is actually one of the innovations that we don't talk that much about, but that is the way we've solved the collaboration between graphs. That's super hard. That's much harder than doing a summary with AI. No offense, anyone, but it's kind of like that's super important, that we really believe in that. And like Doug Engelbart said, all of our biggest problems are solved in groups, and your thoughts don't exist in a vacuum. So that was so in 20 years, 10 years, hopefully sooner. Yeah, we will be able to provide mind like water to a lot of knowledge workers and that don't feel stressed out, burnt out, or down. Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's move on to some very specific questions about different features and timelines on different things. So let's start with AI. We get a lot of questions on AI and we've got a group of them. So let's do them all together. Tajay, over to you. What does Tana AI 2.0 look like?
A product and not technology or developer tools. More seriously, it's basically just trying to. Larry Wall, the founder of an ancient programming language called Perl, he said he had a philosophy that easy things should be easy and hard things should be possible. And as you know, many of you are really, really proficient using Tana for many advanced things, and we still want to make it possible or make it easier for you as well, of course. But the things that you're capable of doing today should be in the future also possible, and perhaps the threshold for that won't be that easy, but the easy things needs to be easy. So one of the things we're working on, which is no surprise, I saw there was another question, is the possibility to chat with all of your graph and all of your information. But rather than doing it the way that other people have done, where it's an actual just text chat where you chat, we want it to be in the Tana way. So it responds in the Tana way of actually creating structure and creating links and finding your notes and putting them together so that you can use that information just to get the information, but also put it back into Tana. So actually work with the sort of like Chat GPT experience, but in the Tana way. So that is already some external testers are using it now. There's a lot more to do, but we have high confidence in that. And then there's a few things that we will be releasing that basically lowers the threshold for using AI. I think we should probably do an AMA on AI alone sometime in the new year or something, so we could demo these things and actually take input. But
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, sounds great. What about the question of local AI as opposed to in the cloud?
Yeah, very interested in what the intention for running it locally. There's many models we could run locally, at least on decent hardware. So if you have like a newer MacBook or something equivalent to on the Windows or Linux side, you could definitely run local models. They consume a lot of memory and some disk space, but if the intention is for speed, I do think that there's not too much to be gained. If it's for cost control, that's something we would worry about. We would probably not do that. If it's for privacy or specialization, for privacy, I think it is the way we've set up AI, as you know it, is you can bring your own key. So you can technically, we could potentially be able to do it locally as well, but at least then you get to provide your own environment or your own key. And I know some enterprises have actually set up agreements with OpenAI where they have their own instances with retention data and whatnot. But it's very important for us then, and given that some of us are based in Europe, we also have to cater to the GDPR compliance and everything. So we have all the providers we're using on the AI side has we have data protection agreements with them. We have control over the retention and that they can't use your data to train their model and so on and so forth. So I don't think there's too much to be gained there, but definitely I do think that local models will play a role at some point, especially as they continue to get better and smaller at the same time. So I think
you're muted, Matt.
Yep, sorry. You kind of covered it, but I just want to cover it off as a question. Do you think we'll have the ability to talk to our graphs as part of Tana AI 2.0?
Yes, 100%.
Excellent. Great. All right. Let's move over to encryption. We get a few questions on encryption. What about encryption of both individual nodes as well as full workspaces?
Yeah, we talked about this in the last AMA as well. The challenge with the encryption is not a technical one. It's fairly easy for now, but until we have quantum computers and whatnot. But it's more of a UX question. So it's very easy for us to let you encrypt single nodes. But as you know, in Tana, everything is a node. So a node could basically be an entire workspace. So it's more of the challenge of how do you encrypt that and how do you store the key? How do you retrieve the data if you lose the key and all that sort of stuff? So we haven't prioritized it. All that being said, we have everything within Tana, from the communication layer to the storage layer and everything in between, is fully encrypted. It's that your data is encrypted at rest. It's encrypted in flight. So I would almost say that if you use an email provider like Gmail or documents like Google Docs or any other service, it is this exact same infrastructure we're running on. I do understand though that, like, for instance, putting credit card information or very sensitive information, you might want to be able to encrypt small strings and things like that, but we haven't prioritized it. But if you really need something like that, it would be great if you could add to ids.tana.inc and try to be specific about the challenge you're trying to solve, because it could mean so many different things. It could mean the entire graph. It could mean just a portion of a text or whatnot. And also, even though it's one of those features, it's easy to want, but once you have it, it's could work against you. And like I said, if you lose the key or having to type it in every time you open it and whatnot.
Excellent. All right, one final product question, and then we'll have a final reflection one. So will commands be able to trigger on events? And can you talk about events in Tana?
Yeah, so the events feature is if the commands will be able to trigger on events. So I'm unfortunately a little bit lost on what we have launched and what we have not launched yet. But yes, it's possible for commands to trigger on events. But I do know that one of the challenges is race conditions, or rather recursion. So you can imagine if you have an event where a new tag is added or a new node is added, and then you trigger a command, and that could generate a new node, and we have this recursion and whatnot. So I do think we haven't launched that yet, if I remember correctly.
It's correct,
yeah. So yeah, it is something that we definitely want to support, and we do. But given we haven't launched it yet, that's the reason why we have some protection stuff that we need to make sure. Yeah,
love that. Like
my privilege is to not know all the details, and sometime just put it out there.
Great. Yes. All right. Let's finish off. We're over time, but appreciate you all sticking with us as we run through them all. We've covered off almost all of them. Final reflection one, and we're going to use this as well. So if 2024 pans out the way you hope, where is Tana by the end of that year in that AMA? And just a qualification, we are going to use this clip as the start of next year's AMA 2024 review.
Great. I think we will see that AI is part of the product in a way that feels natural and not something you have to configure and set up yourself. But like I mentioned before, that you can still do and have the power and creativity that you all have been showing so far. The other thing I really hope is that we have a stellar mobile experience. And the biggest goal for us is to extend the user base. So obviously we've launched, like Olav mentioned before, and obviously you can pay for it, and you can invite your friends, and you can have freedom of just having everyone that wants to use Tana to use it. But we want to make a UX and the frayed edges or the things that is not that easy in Tana. We should definitely focus on that so we can expand our user group. That's one of the biggest and hardest challenges for us. How do you take something that could be so complex and advanced like Tana and make it so that everyone can use it? I'm sure many of you have experienced you're super excited about Tana and you show it to someone and they're like, oh my god, this looks really cool, and then they're trying to use it and it's like, how does it actually work? I can't even type here. So that's something that is very high on our list of things that we want to fix. And to summarize, it's like we want to make the easy things easy and we want to make the hard things really possible. So every power user can get and build the amazing stuff that you're already building.
Incredible. That's a fantastic point to wrap it up. Thank you all for coming in. And I'd like to thank both Olav and Ingrid as well from the team, as well as Tajay for the answers. And then obviously our fantastic ambassadors as well who ran through them. We'll send out links to their work and their ideas as well. So some fantastic ideas there. Braga, also a privilege. Thank you for the help in the stream to get that set up and underway as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day and night and see you next year.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.